Doug, thank you so much for joining us today on the What is a Good Life podcast. After actually having interviewed you in my initial private interviews around this, after just seeing a totally joyful video that you put out on social media and forming a really beautiful friendship, albeit via Zoom since then, I'm really intrigued to see where this conversation goes today.
As am I. Thanks for inviting me on. Do you know the
So,
date when we first? I do.
is
I
it
do.
what is
Yeah.
the date?
It's in because I looked at it. We've been mates from afar for five years now. It
Oh
was
wow!
February of 2021 when you had
Hmm.
put a call out there. I think on LinkedIn is where I saw it. That's where I'm most active about wanting to interview. I think it was upwards of 100 people around that question. And yeah, that caught my interest. And you sent me a message, and I said, yeah. And look at that. It's been a bromance ever since.
Well, bromances aside, Doug, it's straight
Yeah.
down to business on this podcast. So I'm going to open with the usual question of: is there a question you're exploring as you move through life?
This may sound trite, so I don't know. But let's see. What is it about dogs that allow them? I'm not even kidding. I know you're smiling. I'm not kidding at all. That allow them to be the angels that they are. I have spent so much time the last several months working through just life, right? The ebbs and flows, the riding the surfboard. And I have found that when I am my most emotionally regulated, bar none, I am in the company of Harley, who is the family golden doodle, who's my ride or die. I love him dearly. And I have started to do a deeper dive study that I have no answers to, and I'm not even qualified to study. But what is it about energy? Right? I say I'm fluent in two languages, English and energy. Those are it. I tried my hand at Finnish because I lived in Finland for a little while. You may remember or not, but forget about it. Energetically, there is something about this animal and dogs in general, I think, that is so regulating to me that I started studying him. And I'm like, what does Harley do that I can sort of absorb and incorporate into my life? So that is a question that I perhaps am trying to solve because I'm trying to emulate things. And what I'm about to say is not like newsworthy stuff. You probably, if you're a dog lover, is it Alma? Do you have a?
Alma, yeah. That's it.
So you can relate to this, and I'm sure lots of other, dog owners can. There is this. You love when I riff off, I hope, because I'm just going now, baby. I love this. We have a family chat. I don't know if your daughter Emma or Ua, Emma, is still too young, and she probably won't even have a smartphone until she's like 27 years old because you live such a beautifully present existence without the noise and the oh God, I admire the way you live your life. I truly do. We do have a family chat though. So me and my ex-wife, who I'm very close with, and one of my sons who likes to mix it up with us, my oldest one. The other one's on an island on his own, right? Every morning we do some good mornings and whatever's, and it's nice, a little positive energy exchange. Yesterday or the day before, I saw this. I think you would call it a picture or a meme. I think it's more of a picture. And it was the picture you're looking from. So it was a man, you see his back sitting on a park bench, and you see like just a nice green park in front of them, just sort of staring out. So it's the silhouette of the man. Sitting next to the man is a dog, but like sitting up, like a Labrador, you could picture, right? Again, silhouette. And then you know what thought bubbles are, of course. So above the man, there's like 4 or 5 thought bubbles. And it's like there's a somebody who's sick, there's a brand new car, there's a, I don't know, like a house, a job, something related. And then the thought bubble for the dog is the man,
Hmm.
period. And I'm like, yeah, boop, 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 boop. This is what it's all about. This is what it's all about. And it's really that picture. So I sent it to the group just as it's sort of an anchor. We all love Harley, right? But the anchor and the message, and one of these questions I'm trying is, this dog and all dogs, I imagine, are so firmly rooted in the present that it's like, how do you not, for me as a human, if I'm trying to solve that one and emulate that one, solve for happy, you and I both know you don't chase happy. It's not like a, right? You'll never catch it. It's an inside out job anyway. But if I could ever figure out how these dogs just stay so firmly rooted and grounded in the present moment with only one thought bubble, as opposed to all the worries that the man has, I live a beautiful life, man. And that might be a ridiculous response to your question. It might be an oversimplification. It might be too cartoonish, but that's where I've been. That's really where I've been the last little while, is trying to sort of emulate and figure out, how does this dog tick? Because he lives firmly in the present. He radiates love 24/7, 365, completely unconditionally, no strings attached. And he needs almost nothing but what? Love, like us, attention, play, little food, sustenance, exercise. Boom. If life were only that easy, maybe it can be. That's what I'm trying to figure out, my man.
When you first mentioned this, the I wasn't smiling, and
I think you were laughing at me.
I can laugh at you for a host of other reasons, but in this circumstance, I think I was smiling because it's a thought that I've had myself. I've probably held it within the idea of a child, a toddler, or a dog.
Yes.
So I really welcome this. To be honest, I'd love to ask you: was there a particular moment that you noticed that this became a genuine inquiry for you?
So when my brother passed, unexpectedly, it was really awful. Um, I, there's shock, there's awe, there's numbness, there's so many emotions, even some on autopilot, because there's just things you got to do that I needed to be accountable for. And then there's a point where you're alone in your own thoughts and you can exhale. And there was nobody, there was nobody I really wanted to talk to. The only thing I wanted was Harley. The only thing I wanted to do was just sit with him and pet his belly or catch the the glance, and because they're locked in, it's heart to heart stuff. That was kind of when, so that was a couple, that was a couple years ago, I think. Um, and the only thing I wanted to do was be with him, and then go to the park and just literally sit on the in the in a nice area in the shade, and just think, and then just be, um, and not necessarily have to explain anything to anybody, because it's really all just vibration and feeling. And I found that he was the, I guess, my emotional support animal, and that's really where it started, in that sense. Prior to that, it was always, I get a Harley play day. I love being. I didn't really explore like what the hell is going on here, because there's something there. It's really regulating for me. Yeah, that's when it started.
Because when I think of one thing that blows my mind with Alma is even if I just go to take out the trash, and I come back and she's just already given me this huge welcome because I've just come back across from the office and I've literally nipped out for 3 minutes with the trash and she's just seeing me totally anew again. And it's the same routine. She'll pick up something in her mouth, she'll run all the way into the bedroom, jump up on the bed and lay back on her belly. And it's just guaranteed.
How does that
No,
make you feel, or do you
it always,
not feel?
no,
Are
no, it
you?
blows me. It always blows me away because I think I wrote before, like no matter what my day has been, she's undefeated at just bringing
Mm,
me into that moment.
yeah.
And no matter what has happened, and just like you pointed out already, like there can be ups and downs in life and whatever else. No matter what has happened that day, I'll have a moment where I, give her a proper rub on the belly and put my head next to her head and kind of nuzzle into it for a moment.
Mhm.
And it's just, it is totally incredible.
So, is there a chance that these creatures are angels? Like, I don't even know how to define. I don't know what an this is crazy, but it's not crazy. I don't know. That's beautiful. That's beautiful. You
The only asterisk I have to put beside that is Alma was a rescue and came with her own insecurities, and I've seen her
Yeah,
just go for dogs. Like even this morning, almost swinging in on the leash from the tension of trying to get to another dog and snap it and have it bite at it. So there are,
really.
yeah, there are more. There's more than one side, I would say.
Ooh, okay, okay. I haven't experienced that with. It's funny that leads into a whole other dog conversation, because Harley's a golden doodle, so you run into there's, I don't want to call them dog snobs, because they're you know Harley's a designer dog, right? It's a golden doodle. It's a mixed, and and then there's gorgeous human beings like you and millions of them that I do admire too. Which you actually rescued a dog that was probably, there's a distinction here, right? You rescued this gorgeous creature from God knows what kind of existence, and sounds bad. Harley's not listening though, but we kind of ordered Harley, if you will. Okay, so I get into some banter every now and again with some other dog owners that they're just, we're being silly with one another. It's not like a place of, well, I have a rescue animal, you have a make pretend, whatever. But I'll always fall back to, because it may inevitably lead to, why don't you try, if you ever thought about um, adopting a rescue dog, and I say, no. I did that with two human beings. Those are my sons. So we figured, I think for the family dog, we felt pretty okay with with doing the mail order, if you will.
But which brings me to it strikes me with something else. Shortly after Ava or Alma came along first, and maybe a month after it, I was talking to Aoife about the sequence of moments or events that occurred to us going to meet Alma and then bringing her home. And I was saying I'm so glad that it was Alma, because if something else had happened, it would be a different dog. And my wife said to me, "Do you think if it was a different dog, you'd be loving it any less?"
Oh, I love
And the same thing happened a month or two after Ava, our daughter, was born. When I said, "Oh my God, I'm so glad we waited because it would be a different child. It would have been a different seed, everything else." And just the exact same thing
that.
around, do you think if it was another child, you'd have loved it any less? And so I think, when you mention that element of an unconditional sense of love that you experience with Harley, I think there's something interesting in that, or even just an interesting
Yeah,
thought around how the people in our lives or who they are that come into our lives.
that is spectacular. We've even had, and your wife's comments on both of those is so poignant too, because I think I've shared with you in prior conversations that one of my apprehensions with adoption, period, which is quite common, I think, in talking to others, is the love capacity is aside from there's just this whole big question mark unknown of DNA and history of it's not coming from my biological DNA or at the time my wife's. One and two is maybe they're related. Will I love? Can I actually find that in me? To love this newborn that's actually being delivered, in a different, albeit beautiful way, but uh, and the answer, yes, it's the same answer. I mean, it's an unequivocal, of course, you idiot. And your heart just expands because when Justin, my younger, right, we adopted both. When we were matched with the bio mom for Justin, I I fall back into this pattern. First time I thought about this in decades, or a long time. All right, and now am I going to have enough capacity here to throw that on our second son here? And it's the same. Yeah, duh, of course. Yeah, the heart just expands. And I wouldn't love either of the boys any less given the circumstance. So love's a beautiful thing, man. Love is a beautiful, beautiful, unconditional love is a really, yeah, it's a big emotion.
Can you give me a sense of just keeping the initial inquiry of Harley?
Yeah.
Can you give me a sense of an experience or a moment where you felt that unconditional love with Harley?
What's challenging about the question is that I think of it from the converse, which is there's not a moment that I don't feel unconditional love. Not one moment ever. Like ever. And it's just whether that's just a feeling, an energetic thing, it's never contingent on am I taking them for a walk or, am I giving them, a treat or piece or am I going to throw the ball with them or play tug of war with them? It's not it doesn't revolve around anything like that. It's not, there's like no quid pro quo to it at all. Nobody keeps score. It doesn't matter what I'm doing. I'm sitting at the desk working, so I'm not paying attention to him, and he'll come over and just look at me, and and I'll know what that means, or he'll nudge one of my hands, just that, yo, you can work and rub my belly doing the same. It's always, literally always, which is another thing that just fascinates me. Totally unconditional.
I know I took it in a slightly different direction when I just mentioned some of my own dog's tendencies. Um, but when you mentioned the idea that could they be angels, could you just riff on that a little bit more?
Yeah, I mean, I don't I don't know. Okay, so I do believe that, because I talk to them. I call them my no-name guardian angels, because I haven't come up with a name. I don't know, but I believe there's angels. I don't know what form they take, but I feel that I'm not alone on my journey, this fascinating game of life, that there's other players in it. I don't mean you, or I mean like in my like little game that I'm playing here. I feel like there's other influences, there's other angels. I don't know. So if I try to describe what an angel would be for me, it's the word guardian comes up, protector, nurturer, lover. Like there's not one negative thing that I would associate with an angel. It's all love. It literally, everything falls under love. Protection of heart, protection of being, protection of pathways, choices, whatever it is. I'll always be loved. So the reason why I feel like Harley could be just a physical form of an angel is because that's what I get from him in our interaction. It's the purest form of just love, and the highest vibration I could ever sense or want to be around. And the emotional regulation is extraordinarily important for me. I mean, I don't like to preach. I think it's important for everybody, as we navigate through life. And without question, he is, of all the tools in the tool shed, the dog is the most effective emotionally regulating tool that I have. So I feel like, I don't know, he's here for a reason. I think it could be an angel. And the truth be told, not only is he here for a reason, I may have shared this with you, with this effusive love that we're 20 minutes, 30 minutes into this thing already, but which I could sit on with you for hours, by the way. But I didn't even want him. You see, this is how fascinating life is when you see life has this. I love saying this. There's a beautiful, exquisite way of like directing, correcting, and perfecting you over time if you pay attention. You got to pay attention. You got to be an active participant in your life. And then it gets really fun and wild. And you sort of think about things and experiences and coincidences that aren't coincidences or whatever. So Harley was a birthday present for my younger son who just turned 20 at the time. So however old, Harley's been with us like 8 years. It coincided with within a week. Like that's how much it coincided with. With my oldest sons, the darkest period of time we've ever gone through. You know, he literally crashed in the darkest of ways, from suicidal ideation to the entire world spinning upside down, and mom and dad having absolutely no clue how to soothe, treat, heal, comfort, counsel, way above our pay grade as parents. You know, there's no playbook. And again, because we don't know, you know, you only know what you know with the adoption, you know, so the behaviors that were coming forth and stuff like this, you can't point to family history or things like this. So it was so chaotic and so dark and so scary. And then you got this puppy now, right? And I said to to Amy, right? I was like, we were already separated, okay, but I lived close to the house, so I was there all the time. I said, we got to get rid of Harley. Like, this is insanity. There is no freaking way we can care for a puppy when we like, I'm talking fetal position, hurricane rolling through. You're just clinging and grasping at straws and trying to do it. It was that. It's that. How are we gonna care for a puppy? And she was like, I don't care. We're gonna do it. Doesn't matter. Harley's going nowhere. Harley's going nowhere. Harley's going nowhere. And thank God. Thank God for that. Because I'm telling you, I didn't let go of it either. It was every day. It was because it was one trauma after the next. It was getting more complicated and deep and scary, and and then the puppy. And I'm every day I was like, Amy, we got to get rid. And she's no, no. And isn't that amazing? And now he's like my best friend.
That's crazy, man.
It's wild.
Yeah. Yeah.
Wow.
You know, you've said something, and I know, you've followed different practices at different times, and the significance of there's a significance to that statement of regulating each other. And I just love the fact that while different processes may be helpful, there's something really pleasing to me in sensing at any point that it may be another human being, it may be another creature, it may be an environment, it may be nature, it may be something that could regulate us in a way that we may not even be able to do for ourselves.
Oh yeah. 100%. I mean, that is, I don't know if you've ever gone to therapy or participate.
Yeah.
Okay. So we have as a family for a while, and now my ex and I have continued with it under the umbrella of family stuff. But it really, she and I primarily go once a week, and it's just been super helpful and grounding for us, just with parenting things, and right. The kind of therapy is called DBT, dialectical behavioral therapy, and it's got like four uh, pillars of what it's around: emotional regulation, mindfulness. So emotional regulation is one of them. And I didn't even understand until we've been in this therapy on a rolling basis for maybe 3 or 4 years now, and I had no idea like what it was, what it meant, and how it presented. And there were strategies around it, practical strategies. So yes, like identifying that, oh, okay, Harley can do that for me. And so can, and this may sound crazy to you, but when you're really hot and heated and your mind is unraveling and you are not in your what we would call wise mind, in DBT therapy, you get a bowl, you get ice, you put water in that thing and dunk your freaking head in it. Boom. Regulates you. takes you right back down. That heart rate goes like it's and I didn't realize how important that is as a skill. It's a life skill. However you go about it. But if you walk around and traffic through life in this intensely like dysregulated fashion, I mean, I don't even know how you make good decisions, how you create healthy relationships, how you find happy or contentment, joy. Like so to me that is it's a really really important skill.
Can you talk to me a little bit about that, like that journey you've had with regulating?
So I didn't know I would I would be described, particularly by Amy, who knew me best, as you're intense, and I never understood, and the more she said it, I would be like, you have no idea what you're talking about. Like, I don't know, I don't even understand. What do you mean? You know, you're so intense, you're so intense, you're so. And here I'm like, well, you're a control freak, and we live in this world of, yeah, this is how we start to, you either get closer or you start to,
Right.
when, and so this is the banter, comparison. Oh, that was a killer for us. She always, it was always, this couple, she'll listen to this one day and she'll be like, what the hell are you talking about? I didn't live in a world of comparison. Oh, okay. But for me, it was intent. Like I would bring this intense, and I never understood, nor did I want to believe it, I guess, because to me, it carried a negative connotation, intensity. But what that was is, I am when I finally owned it and understood, oh, you know what? I'm a really freaking intense person. I really am. But it's not a bad thing. It's not a bad thing at all. I love it. I love everything about me. But I have to figure out a strategy then on how to become more self aware and understand when that intensity is sort of presenting itself and how that comes across to others, because it can dysregulate others. It could I mean, I'm not a big guy, but it can be intimidating just from an energetic standpoint. It could send unintended messages, whatever it is. And so the word intensity is what got me locked into how important emotion or emotional regulation is. So that's when I really started to understand or try to understand better. Okay, I get, I'm okay with being called intense. Like, right, I own that now. And I also now understand how that's not necessarily the most productive thing, whatever we want to call it. So, what can I do to, it's all about like becoming the best version of me. What can I do to work with that intensity that's always right under the surface? It truly is. Now I know. What can I do to work with that so that I can become the best version of me and that I can be, keep that intensity where it needs to be? It doesn't need to rear its head all the time. Like I don't need to lead with intensity. Or if I do, how can I regulate that? I don't know if that answers your question, but that's when it sort of came into my life and I'm like, okay, I need to understand how I can work with this better. And it's all about emotion regulation for me.
It's kind of, I think it's kind of incredible that the world moves as it does. And I know right now the world can look like a bit of a shit show.
Mm-hmm.
Um, but even prior to that becoming more obvious to us, just with how much dysregulation I see
Mm-hmm.
and how much lack of accountability I see within our dysregulation.
So I think I know what you mean. Yeah. So you're seeing a lot of dysregulated people, let's just say, and no ownership over, maybe
Yeah,
no
like,
awareness. I
yeah, yeah,
don't, that comes
yeah,
before ownership.
yeah, probably true. But I think we've got so used to defending our position. And
Oh,
what I find, I think I agree with you as well with regards to awareness of it. I think it's so commonplace to just think this is the status quo and this is just how it is, and therefore it's justifiable. But I think there's a real trap in that, in if we can't acknowledge that, oh yeah, that was pretty wild of me just there. And just how relieving it is, when you're the process you're talking about going through, where you can just acknowledge whatever it might be. That, oh yeah, I was in a certain energy. Sometimes my wife will remind me of something I've said
mhm.
while I was in a total like emotional spiral, and I'll be like, oh yeah, I totally said that, but clearly I wasn't regulated at that point in time. I'm not saying it's about not having integrity of word or anything like that,
Yeah,
but but I think there's almost like this humility in just kind of acknowledging, or this humanity in acknowledging just how powerful certain emotions or experiences are, and just how that's part of life. But I think it just regulation for me is such a key word for having productive, healthy relationships.
yes.
Yeah.
So is communication, which you just touched on. That the fact that you and your wife can have that conversation, like she can call you out on stuff, or you can call her out on stuff, and own it and acknowledge it or move on or whatever. Everything. I have this. Where is it? Where is it? Oh yeah. I don't know if you. Oh, you can't see it. It's blurred out. Hold on. Can you see this?
Yes.
Ah, it's a little blurred. So it's
Everything is figure outable.
everything is figure outable. Is all it takes is communication, truth telling, and communication, accountability. Everything. This is what we preach to our kids all the time, and it still hasn't sunk in fully. But they're guys, they're boys, and they're front. The prefrontal, uh, what is it? Whatever it's called, cortex or frontal lobe develops a little slower, but everything is figure outable. Like we preach all. Don't no lying. Like it's a whatever it is, whatever, how bad, how dark, how complicated, how whatever. Everything is figure outable with truth telling, with honesty, with accountability, communication. So it's beautiful. So you are destined to have like an amazing marriage forever and ever and ever, my friend. If you've already established the groundwork for that level of communication, and I know from prior conversations, you accept her as is, she accepts you as is. You're not trying to change her. She is not trying to change you. What you don't need it. You're blissful. You're blissfully married with all the problems in between, but that's okay. You're blissfully married forever because that's what you got. We didn't have that. We didn't have the communication, and we did not have the full on acceptance. Full on acceptance. Like, I married you for you, and you married me for me, as is. Like, radically accept that person. Doesn't mean I can't change, doesn't mean I won't evolve, doesn't mean we can't grow together. But base level stuff, like, yeah, I'm me and I'm not, you know what I mean.
Yeah, yeah, yeah. You
I,
know,
yeah.
you mentioned something though, just the idea of love for yourself now and loving every part of yourself. Just curious what your journey with that is.
I mean, that's the journey. I don't think it was, I guess it wasn't fitting for the initial question, maybe of a question I'm trying to figure out. Maybe it is. All of this stuff is, for
Yeah,
heaven's
yeah,
sake. I
totally.
mean, it truthfully is. The self love journey, um, I mean, it's profound. It's foundational. It's almost like the ground that everything else is is constructed on. I would say with a straight face that with each passing day, um, I I guess attach less to um, others. I don't want opinion is the word that comes to mind, but it's probably not appropriate. I lived my whole life up until 8 years, 9 years ago, um, not knowing who I was, other than a incessant people pleaser, go along to get along, peacemaker, abhor conflict, um, attach my value, worth, confidence to everything on the outside. How do people perceive me? How do they love me? You know, until one day, I started to grow up and realize I had it all wrong. So then, if you know what a pendulum is, so if the pendulum was all the way here, which is incredibly low self-esteem, I wouldn't say self-loathing. Maybe that's what I got in return as a byproduct of it, but I never remember a time where, like, my parents loved me unconditionally. I always say, Amy and I joke, like, hey, I have secure attachment style. You have what? It's crazy what we do. But I don't remember ever like hating on myself. But I don't really like, I'm telling you what my identity was. Like, for decades, so that's the pendulum. And then I started the light bulb went on. I've done so much self discovery and work, and now the pendulum goes this way. And here's the scary part is it's now going so much this way, right? Now it's the other end, where it could be a little dangerous, I think. That's a word. And the danger is that I get so self absorbed, not from an place of arrogance, because that I am not, but just from a place of insulation,
Hmm.
that I close myself off from certain things. Like, I am not in a relationship right now. And there's a whole bunch of reasons, aside from me being an absolute freak, weirdo personality type. And I mean, I could go on and on. I feel a void, I think there's plenty of times and I would love to come home to a woman that I adore and we adore each other and we vibe and, you know, but I quickly fall back into protecting my peace and my inner peace, which at this point in time is just the most important thing in the world. And the deeper I have fallen in love with myself, the less I have needed anyone else. That's the danger in the isolation to an extent that I'm working with now. I don't know.
Could you give me a moment where you felt the potential danger of that?
I think about it because I'm a kind of I can be a chronic overthinker. I think about it, I mean, all the time. And I have to be very careful now. So let's just say fictitiously, I was out to brunch with and I'm always the third wheel or whatever the term is, because I'm not in a committed relationship of any kind. So I'm out with some other couples, okay, and you would love this because this would be you. But these are, they're not strangers, right? They're
Right, right.
all right. So great banter. Haven't seen people in a while, you know, and then I can just sip my coffee. It's brunch and observe the dynamics and the energy, right? and then this one picking on this one, and then that one nitpicking on this one, and these people that can't agree on what to order, or really, you had fun at that thing? I didn't have fun at that thing. And Mark, I just go into this like, peace out. Not physically. I don't want that though. Like, I don't want that in my, I protect, like, I don't, and I'm not. So that's where, and this happens to me all the time. So I'm an observer of life, of people. I'm a pattern recognizer. I read energy, and it can be very overwhelming and intimidating when I see relations where I could see, rightfully or wrongfully, right? It's the stories we tell ourselves that, wow, I would hate to come home to my place and be met with the heavy energy of this, that, or the other. Or, I can't just do what I want when I want, which isn't a lot because I do for others all the time out of choice now, not out of martyrdom, out of choice because it brings me joy. But when it's my time for me, I don't want anybody fucking with it. And that's the danger. So
Yeah.
I haven't thread that needle, and maybe one day it's just going to happen. And like, it'll be like, you know what, I'm ready now. And I don't know when that day will be.
Yeah. It brought up several moments where I see friends of mine, or even overhearing conversations in a coffee shop,
Right.
where it seems like someone in a couple is asking their single friend about, are they in a relationship yet, or have they found someone, or what's the update, and they proceeded to just talk about what a terrible time they're having. But it's almost like this ticking of a box. If you have a partner, then that means you've done something right, irrespective of what the conditions of that relationship are. I agree. I do agree with you. Like, to me, the biggest fear would be just that I don't want to be in the space where I'm coming home to. But it is a really interesting thing, though, from the point of view of the pendulum, in terms of how far we take that,
Yes. Self
suiting
love.
ourselves. Yeah. It is a fascinating one. Just going back even to the initial idea around Harley, and what is it about these creatures, and how is it they do it, and you just kind of saying that is in some ways a bit, it can be a bit inspiring or eye opening. Where do you get a sense of what's possible with humans, like,
So
and something of
I
that?
think about, you think about good life, happiness. We all, right?
Hmm.
So this is something I think about quite often. So living a happy life is not all that more complicated than, do you know what stitch, like if we're stitching something. So living a happy life isn't any more complicated than just stitching together a countless amount of happy moments. But us humans complicate it, guilty, so much because we get fixated. It's the tendency on the outcome, way over there, right? The happy life, that you gloss right the fuck over all the happy moments, because the happy moments are found in the present moment, which is where Harley lives. To bring it back to Harley, that's how important. And I know you know this because you don't even carry a phone around. You're basically not online. You don't do social media. You're the most. I've told you this before. I feel like you're the most present moment living human that I probably know. That's how significant I think it is to be rooted in the present. And that's why, the chasing happy thing, you're not chasing anything. the more I'm happy. We're sitting here again. We'll talk as long as you want. There's no distractions. I'm not, looking around. There's nobody bothering me. I am 100% fully fixated on the conversation with you, which is enriching. It's great to see you. It's a wonderful energy exchange. It's a beautiful moment that brings me joy and happiness. If my mind was in 10 other places, like the dad on the park bench with the thought bubbles, then I'm robbing myself of happiness and joy. Is that
Oh, totally. Can you tell me just, Doug, where you get a sense of, or where was there a moment when some of this presence or the ideas or the significance of presence really clicked for you?
I think it's a cumulative thing for me. It yeah. Yeah. I don't even know. I don't think there was one um, inflection point or turnkey thing uh, that happened for me. I mean, I think that when I started to, I worked with several years ago, I worked with a mindfulness meditation coach and started, she helped me actually develop a meditation practice. And that was very grounding for me. And that was maybe the first time that I really started to understand, at least the way that I understand it, what really locking into the present moment sort of just felt like, whether it was energetically or spiritually or, just becoming a witnesser of, from a mindfulness standpoint, just witnessing thoughts instead of being my thoughts. That's game changing stuff. And when you can witness your thoughts, when I can witness my thoughts, I mean, that is like the alchemy of mindfulness. That I know I am in the present moment because I am so locked in on. I'm just like a thought watcher. That's how present I am. I, everything that got me going down this path, well, first of all, is on my forearms. Like I have five tattoos now, so I could do a TED talk just looking at my forearms and what these visual anchors are for me. And one of them is my four pillars, which non-comparison, present moment, attitude of gratitude, and radical acceptance. That's the first tattoo I got. It's a word in Sanskrit called santosh or santosha, which is complete contentment. And the grounding for me is, again, not a destination, it's sort of a mindset. And this reminds me, and when I just glance down, oh yeah, if I lock in on any one of those four or all four simultaneously or whatever, I'm in a good spot. I'm in a very good spot if I can practice those on a regular basis. So being present is not even as clean as just being present. So there wasn't one event that was like, oh my God, I need to be more present. I don't remember anything like that. But it was like I was in the kitchen putting a bunch of ingredients together, and present moment is one of the ingredients. But you know what? So is radical acceptance. Like, I don't even know. This is my journey and this is how my mind works. I don't, where does one end? Where does one begin? How do they relate to one another? Like, they're not just silos for me,
Yeah, yeah,
you know? So
yeah.
when my life really started to unravel, and it has for, well, like really, uh, 15, 18 years. Um, and then 8 or 9 years ago, when I started to really study it, I realized that the more I can radically accept life circumstances as they are, just flat out, like, it is what it is. It sounds trite, but damn it, it's powerful. It is what it is. That relates then to also me being very present with it. I'm not fixated on, it's no longer, why me? Woe's me. Why is this happening to me? It's you flip the script on fucking everything. It's, watch me, try me. This is part of my journey. I get it. Maybe I don't get it, but I accept it. That's cool. Let's work with it in the present. Not, I wish my life was this way, or why did this happen to me? Or so it just all blends together, man. And for me, it literally is a journey. It's not one, there's just not one thing. It's really hard for me to lock in on what was the thing that happened or what was the going on in my life when I realized that just being fully present was the way to go. It's been a
Yeah, no, it's been very similar for me as well. And I think though even the example you gave of just how you're presently experiencing this conversation is the epitome of it all. Like I remember interviewing a filmmaker, Nick Askew, who shoots in this kind of monochrome way, and he was asked at one point by these kind of producers in Hollywood, could they put more special effects on something, or there's some project that he was doing, and he just said, "But it's a person speaking, so why wouldn't you just give them your absolute attention?" And I think it really is just applying that over and over and over again to the point where it's not even it doesn't feel like a technique anymore.
right.
And just how you describe even the listening to thoughts as well. Like it's not you're not interfering with the thoughts or trying to suggest that they should be something else. When we become thought watchers, I just had this idea of Doug Skoke is the thought watcher,
Oh, I
coming
should
to a
write that
point where
down.
but it's it is, but I think it is that because then even the thoughts are just part of the present moment as well, and it's not attaching to some sense of I'll only feel okay if I don't experience a thought. Like good luck with
Exactly.
good luck with that. Like so, no,
So, Mark, can you see this?
yeah, I
Well,
can. Yeah.
this one. So, I don't know what it looks, it probably looks not so good on the video, but let me describe what it is. This is my newest tattoo, and you just triggered something for me. Okay. So, it's the image of a hand holding like a mirror, like a makeup mirror or something, like, okay, so far so good. Okay. And then in the mirror image, it says I am. Okay. So germane to what we were just talking about, I think. There's a ridiculous quote, and now that I have to remember it, I'm going to forget it. Bashar, not even sure who, but okay. And it goes, waiting for circumstances to change so you can feel good is like staring into a mirror and waiting for your reflection to smile first. How brilliant is that? So that's the inside out. That is literally the inside. That's to me, that's what it says. It's that life is an inside out job. It is not my happiness, peace of mind, whatever it is not contingent upon an outcome, a thing, another person, another anything. Now, that might sound arrogant. Some of this relates back to self love too, right? I have to love me internally. I have to accept me fully and wholly for the freak that I am, or the beautiful human being that I am, or whatever, the flawed human being that I am. And I'm not attaching that validation. That's the word that I was looking for. With each passing day, I need less and less and less and less and less validation from the outside world. That's the journey I'm on.
Yeah, it's and just knowing when you've shared life moments where acceptance of extremely trying things have occurred, I really appreciate the journey that you're on. Thinking, Doug, of where we began in terms of Harley and is he an angel? What are they? Ideas around presence and unconditional love, the significance of regulation, the ups and downs of life, the meeting the moment of it the way it is, the meeting of ourselves the way we are.
Mm.
Really intrigued, Doug, to ask you the question of what is a good life for you?
It would be lifting others up. It's going to sound like a tagline, but it's my tagline. It's my life tagline, I think. Lifting others up fills my cup. So living a good life for me has taken on. I told you I'm a recovering people pleaser, but it's a different meaning for me now. I get most fulfilled each and every day. So a good life is me, A, waking up on the right side of the dirt every day to a blank slate. It's beautiful, gorgeous blank canvas with the freedom and the power to choose how I go about painting the picture of my day, right? And the freedom of choice making. So each choice I make is akin to a brushstroke on the canvas, regardless of any of the poop storms that might be swirling. And then at the end of the day, you take a step back. What does that picture look like? It could look like a hot mess, or it could look like a brilliant masterpiece. But either way, I'm going to go to bed knowing that I'll always get it. Life will give me a second chance at it. And that's the next day, tomorrow. And I'm going to wake up, and that good life is going to allow me to do the same damn thing, which is the best form of happiness for me is when I know that I had a hand in somebody else's happy. So that's lifting others up, whether it was a message out of the blue, a compliment to somebody I don't even know, an introduction that somebody wasn't even expecting, an I love you, embracing suck from afar with a friend who's struggling, whatever it is, it doesn't matter. Like in my current job, right? If I'm able to align somebody with a beautiful new job that takes them out of a toxic work environment, because I am a headhunter, I'm an executive recruiter, is now when I should pitch my business. I mean, this is my business. It's life. I wish I could just get paid for like talking to you all day long. This is where I get the most joy. But I do get, isn't that fun though? This is what I get to do. It's hard as hell, but I get to do it on a daily basis. I get to upgrade somebody's life, find a great job for them that a role that I'm trying to fill, and make two people really freaking happy. The company, I'm solving a business issue because I'm finding them the talent that they need, and an individual who is like not flexing a skill that they want to, or they're in a toxic work environment and they need out, or they know that they're undervalued where they are. So I do get to do that on a daily basis. But that's a good life when I know that I can make an imprint on somebody else's world each and every day, lifting them up. That's cool. That fills me up.
Well, Doug, once again, you've left a beautiful imprint on my day from having a conversation with you. So, thank you so much for joining us on the What is a Good Life podcast. It's been an absolute joy, and I look forward to more conversations again.
Absolutely my pleasure. Thank you for the invite, Mark.